For that one meager, measly, absolutely negligible, macroscopic minute, gangsters became law-abiding citizens. Look at that go. Oh, congratulations. We have a reformed Genseri until after the World Cup ends. He's back to shooting people in the skull again, making some people be out just sleeping with some fishes or whatever. Well, South Africa, listen, you're at the end of your rope now. And Kifilangare, we've got an alien threat all up in these streets, tantamount. And that alien threat is like gonna take away your whole country that you're living in. And so, like in the World Cup, you displayed back then that you have it in you to just straighten up and fly, straighten up and play right. You have it in you to straighten up just so that your country doesn't end up looking like trash, dust, and bin all in one sitting. So it's a trashy dustbin. You have it in you. You showed it in that brief little season, your World Cup, that you can straighten up and fly right. And again, in the run-up to the World Cup, look at how much World Cup infrastructure, like public infrastructure you built just for the World Cup. So you displayed that in a short space of time you can grab taxpayer money finally and actually build roads that are decent and actually build infrastructure like a whole train. I mean, that stuff needs rails and everything. You have to like uproot roads and everything just to get a railway erected, and you did that with a Gautrain, and it was low-key ready by the World Cup. You build infrastructure so fast, and your project managers were so excellent. Your civil engineers were, listen, everybody was just such a star, because we need to make sure that we are ready for the World Cup. So we don't understand why it's taken 30 whole years to like build roads that are tarred in like Sies. We don't know why there are still no street lamps in certain parts of the country. We also don't understand why after 30 years since the old regime, we still don't got no power. We've got but the song ends with us. It's like we've got the power, like with Bruce Almighty, but it didn't happen with South Africa. We don't have electricity. What? I mean, you do remember in the days of apartheid that South Africa has such a heavy, hard knock supply of power, yellow. Like it's Hercules. It has so much power that it was out catering to the needs of our neighboring countries. Look at that go. Hey, you who does not want to sweep in Zimbabwe because you're not our taxpayer, was actually helping Zimbabwe with power supply because we had just so much excess. We had government contracts, energy contracts with our neighboring nations to give them electricity, and now we can't even provide electricity for our own people. Zinja that need nothing but like, listen, ain't nobody trying to get fingerprints taken and danyani term done for murdering any of y'all. You don't deserve to be killed no more. You just need him ezoyenza uthi ube wisdomsha nishas. We were giving electricity to neighboring countries, and now we can't even like power up our own country. Like, we don't know what's happening over there. So since you displayed during the World Cup, in the run-up to and also during it, that you can actually come in concert together as a country and just do better until opinions change about you, and also seeing as you have displayed that it is possible for you to build brand spanking new roads, brand spanking new infrastructure like trains, public transport like proper, you displayed that you can build infrastructure fast in preparing for the World Cup. So you can also freaking build electricity back fast. You showed you can do it during the World Cup. The issue here is that it was in it for you, for the world to perceive you as excellent. Now, what is the incentive, the motivation for you as a country, like in your totality? What is the incentive that would cause you to decide to suddenly start building the country and really quickly before it falls apart? Yeah, that very thing. Alien threat falling apart. I mean, what better immediate action ought be taken out anywhere other than, if at all I don't do A, B, C, Q, and Z, by the 27th of July 2026. There's gonna be a whole weird thing coming from the sky that's gonna land on the house that I live in, that I've built over 20 years, and just bomb it. It's gonna bomb it. So, I mean, while the deadline is just, it's excluded like they say, so, well, I'm not Jesus, I can't walk on water. Okay. Congratulations finally for admitting that you're not the Messiah. You've been trying to get that done for a minute. But like, you can, however, come together in concert and seek the Messiah's face to help you conquer something that's gonna end you, flatten you like you ain't jack, flatten you like it's a nuclear explosion in a mere month. If there are feasible individual milestones that can be met to eradicate that level of disaster, whether or not you don't think being the excellent program or project manager that you are, look at you go. Whether or not in your estimations you don't think it's possible, you nonetheless you don't think it's possible to get these things done by that deadline date, when that deadline date is like immovable, when there is no getting around it, when that deadline date is set in stone, like when when a projectile, like what do you call this thing? Like an asteroid. When the estimated date of impact is set in stone and there's nothing you can do to stop it. All that you can do for yourself is put a dome on your house to make sure that when that missile lands, not missile, but that asteroid, when it lands, the fragments will just break on the surface and just scatter all over the show, and there'll be shards and shrapnel everywhere, but nonetheless, everyone in that dome will survive. At this point, it's not to try and stay the meteor from coming or the asteroid. It's to try and make that which is an impossible feat feasible, and try at least to see if you can't get it done. Because now this year has become an extinction level crisis, hasn't it? Oh, look at you, look like a dodo. You look so familiar. You remind me of, I don't know. Oh yeah, dinosaur. Look at you looking eerily familiar to like some Neanderthals. When your photograph starts to look a little bit like you're a mammoth, oh, darling, you need to go back to looking more like an elephant. Still out here walking these streets, you're not yet extinct. And if at all it is feasible for you to rather you photograph looking like an elephant as opposed to photograph looking like a mammoth, if there is even a small chance that you can do it, though it's tight. It's tight. Listen, it's squeezed like some skinny jeans. It's actually giving everybody a double boob, like I spoke about in my 14-part series. You will try, and you evidence that these here attempts, these tryings, work, because they worked before the World Cup, didn't they? And they also worked during the World Cup. So you have it in you to make sure that your country that is facing an impending projectile can at least find safe haven when the projectile lands. See, as you cannot stay the projectile from coming at all, because all interceptive missions to try and get that rocket out of space going another direction, when people like Avogarabo, so we're like singing like a canary out here, hopping up and down like some kangaroos in the streets trying to warn you that it's coming. When we try to give you a solution to intercept that missile, you idiots. When we gave you advice to try and intercept that asteroid, you idiots. Oh, look at what you did to my ministry. 1s and 0s, binary code. Nobody's watching me. Look at that go. You made sure that nobody hurt me. You incarcerated me. Bad my kinsa do it. Listen, you're like the gangsters that were still well and alive, breathing and everything during the World Cup. If they could wear neat little outfits and look poised and decorous, you can do it too now. You can do it too now. I have faith in you. Mamelang boput madlesa nina ma ritualistic na in petama anaconda. Luna that are draining, sapping, juicing as with a straw. South Africa. Nina any spemayo ngati we Apache inside some Rizla. We understand that you be out to getting nice and chubby, fat dodlanja. Look at you go tsekeleke. Off the fat of South Africans. We understand that all these billions and these millions that you've made from all of your dirty contracts have been acquired from the bone that are now arthritic of South Africans. I mean, your country's ending. You who think you can keep on defecating where you eat. So will you not make like a ginser in the days of the World Cup and just wear a tie just for one season? But wako overseas, man. We ain't jack like what's good, like what's happening. Nobody be out underestimating me and all my South Africanness. Will you not do that, oh gangsters? Base ANC. Will you not do that in a Maginza polygamists? Nina Maginza ritualists, Nina Batagatin Wa? Will you not stop bewitching your colleagues? Man, you have robbed the South African economy of skills. Will you not at some point stop kicking like a soccer ball until they land in South Korea? Will you not cease hostilities against your fellow man, your fellow countrymen? How much witchcraft? How much draining? How much auto-cannibalism are you gonna take in your stride before you pass away from your freaking anorexia nervosa, South Africa? When? Nina, any freaking hard knock intense your day. Corrupt to a point where Noma, your country iqala ukuhohoba ukuhobula ukuhlanza lana ngoba ayidagwanga yini night before. At some point, when are you gonna start investing in recovery behavior to help your whole entire country? Because I mean, how much money have you made exactly when Aput Matlisa was Satan? Uhlala thatha abanye abafazi. Uhlala thatha abafazi from amadoda. Right. For women. How many women are you gonna keep taking from their husbands? And how many women nina bo Jezebel abahlanyayo abafuna ukuchada by any means necessary? How many are y'all gonna stop ukudlisa amadoda enu? Uthi banchade though dude grandship, you were a placeholder and you made him marry, How long are you gonna keep on lenze le lawyer, bo girl, little guy, go officing because vale trapa on the presentation, because I need trapa in their delivery of themselves? Well, they are better BA than you, they're a better PM than you, they're a better modeler than you, they're a better this, better that, and so you knock a chick out of a whole freaking career. You knock a female or a dude out here in these streets out of a whole entire career because you stink, you suck, and you can't compete. Kazenizo busy running up and down, open up. Boy free, libo hasbi. When are you gonna stop chaparing people meeting about to Zinja sex curses? When your country is about to die, bugger, listen. Parasites, zikati host, HIV, maninga kwingi, lama ARV, it graduates ingati. It's at a high school graduation ingati. It's got an LLB. So acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, otherwise known as AIDS. And in the very nth degree of itself, it's called full-blown AIDS. That's also gonna blow you into eternity. If you don't find something that stops metastasizing something from continuing to do that thing that it is doing, eventually the host gets consumed whole. Leave bread in your bread bin long enough in that dark environment, and eventually it'll look green like your grass. It'll look white. The next day, when you take out those ashes after Ibrai, you know how white those ashes look the next day? That's what your bread will eventually look like if you just leave it in your bread bin. But it's not gonna stay on just the bread. You see, the word in your bread bin, the whole bread bin gonna be out to smelling nasty. You have to throw away the whole bread bin if you leave that bread molding all up in there for long enough. But if on the day you buy the bread, you put it in the deep freezer because you're a prepper or whatever, you can still eat that bread after 3 months, after 4 months, after 5 months. But the moment you put it in your bread bin, you either consume it quickly within a day or 2 or 3, or after that it's gonna first go green and then it's gonna go gray, because that's just what a freaking parasite does to a host. Finishes it all, unless there is something that stays the development of this here thing, the proliferation of this here thing. I like to use Newton's law of motion. Those of you that did physics for any little minute, it says, second law, an object, law of motion. The second law I think is thermodynamics. An object in motion will stay in motion unless it is acted on by a resisting force. Remember, the guy with resistance, yeah. It's like give yourself, peace. What is the unit of resistance? Almost like you're just tranquil out, you're meditating on the word of God all day and all night. Add an to whatever under heaven it is that you're doing so you can finally rest. It's written in God's word. It's written in God's word that an object in motion will stay in motion unless no, correction, that's not a thing. That is a thing, but Newton did that. What I wanted to say was the wicked don't have the wicked don't have an y'all. The unit of resistance is The unit don't got They don't have Just a relaxed disposition. The wicked are like the tossing sea, whose waters bring up mire and dirt continually. There is no rest, thus saith the Lord, for the wicked. Y'all ain't got no ohms all up in your grill. You ain't got nothing that be out to staying you from doing jack. One of the fruit of the Holy Spirit is ohm. Yeah, the unit of the fruit of the Holy Spirit, otherwise known as self-control, is also ohm. It's resistance. The Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Therein lies the again. Ohm for resistance. Resist who? The devil, so you can get what? Peace. Wicked men and wicked women. Reason why you ain't got no you ain't got no chill. You don't have any relaxation. You don't have plumzation. You don't have any of that because you don't have self-control. You don't have because you don't have anything that makes you stop when you're just busy going and going and going. And in self-control. And the Bible also says that, listen, are you listening? Are you resaring? Thank you. Oh, look, I have an ear in it lately. All these years I've been dealing with monstrous psychopaths now. But Velcro hands, going away with everything you got. You be out to making like blackjacks on wool in a bush, sticking to everything that ain't yours. But the Bible says, yes, resist the devil and he will flee from you. The wicked are like the tossing sea, whose waters bring up mire and dirt continually. There is no rest for the wicked. But also, it is written that that self-control, that person that doesn't have those ohms all up in their body. Yeah, they're like a bear robbed of its cubs. Have you ever met that in the bush? All the best, you know? Also, a city without walls. Back in the day, you know how cities had walls around them, and those walls also those cities also were encircled by water, and it functioned as a protective force, and it was so impregnable that if your city was like that, people couldn't just come in. That's why they needed things like siege engines, like war machines, and just hectic about Babylon, so to deal with Assyria. Or Assyria wakona wamoshwa Tigris River that he used as an impregnable fortress because he thought that he couldn't be gotten to this here Assyria. But God judged Assyria by causing the very resisting walls built encircled by river waters that made a city impregnable. God made the Tigris River flood up and engulf Assyria, and that's how they got conquered by Babylon and co. So God knows how to bring you down when you think you're too legit to quit. Can't nobody overwhelm you. Can't nobody bring you down. Can't nobody overwhelm your fortresses, right? But at the same time, it must be comprehended that having no walls around your city means that anything can come in. Anyone can come and raid over there. Oh, Neanderthals, anything barbaric can just come in and start picking away at whatever it wants. Yeah, raping your women, killing your children, conscripting them to wars of countries that they didn't sign up to be part of. That's what a city without walls ought be achieving. Do you understand, Jula? Jula? Where my Jula? Where my Jula? Hit yellow. Hit yellow. Anyway, do you have ears? Are you listening? If you don't have a wall, anything can come in and anything can go out, so you are frankly just left stranded. You are at the mercy of everybody else. You have been left compromised. And a person who has no self-control, God says, you that thing. Anybody can come in there and rape. Anybody can come in there and kill. Anybody can come in there and conscript your men for war, even though they didn't sign up for that war. Anybody can come in there and loot and plunder. In the Tigris River. That's what under heaven, when your walls get breached, happens. So, mangena my walls at all. Worse yet, are you? You're a nation that has been subjugated to the tyranny of being looted by anyone. Come one, come all, take all you want. Take all you want. So manje nina eningena self-control that are South African citizens nithagatha wonke umuntu, nithathela abantu ama-career, nithathela abantu amadoda. Let khoza bokarabo to be 41, 42 bangena imiyeni. Woo! Bangena umyeni. Masadikima umohoto umupila. She could have been a great mom, could have been a great entrepreneur. Zonke lezinto kodwa ngiblumile lana. Kishebile kibo podmatesa bangiphatla kancane because they think I don't have walls. When God himself is a strong tower, I run to him and I am safe. He is my impregnable fortress. Mara lahesha akere. Yeah. No, wezikingi bozinzwa. Nina self-control. The more of you, I said in my long form content in a 14 past that is preceding that. Remember what I said, Jula? Kitse, because I get up and coming, get showing shortly, but I'll give you a preview. I say in that particular video, I said in that video that the epidemic of witchcraft, La Mzansi, in South Africa, is such that it is as prevalent. Yes. Is as prevalent as the schwa sign in the English language. I said it earlier and I'm saying it again. Schwa is the most commonly occurring sound in the English language. Is that sound that you find in the words like umbrella, umbrella, umbrella. Yeah, like duh. It's got a schwa in it. Yeah, that's how many of you practice sorcery. And the more of you practice sorcery to a point where you are as ubiquitously occurring as the schwa sound in the English language, the more the country becomes exactly what you are. So therefore, if you, as a unique individual, sorcerer or a sorceress, anything and everyone, are so ubiquitously occur that there's more of you than there are regular people like me that resist your trash and that don't do what you do, it means that your country is you. So frankly, if you are like a city without walls, that anything can go in and plunder, because you have no self-control, because a person without self-control is like a city without walls. It's like a bear robbed of its cubs. It means that South Africa as a concert is like a city without walls, a bear robbed of its cubs. You have no self-control, and if at all, aguna intervention of sorts that's gonna stay all such activity from continuing to be proliferated. Darlings, my dear bumblebees, my dear okay, I'm not singing. My dear bumblebees, if at all, there is no resisting thing. If there's nothing that just stays you from finishing lento wikalile. Ashem, kimaswabi. It's giving parasites finish what they start. I'm back, I had to use the bathroom. Yeah, no, parasites finish what they start. When I was in the bathroom, I was like, listen, this is so ironic. Nothing is coinky-dinky in the sight of God. You know how the unit of resistance is called ohm? The symbol for ohm looks like the omega shape, like a horseshoe. And God is called the Alpha and the Omega. Omega basically is the end of all things. It's the uppermost. It is the pinnacle. It is the uppermost or outermost girth of anything. When you say something, you know how the new generation of kids, after we finish with Gen Zs, now we call them Gen Alpha. Alpha is like the first letter of the alphabet, and then Omega is pretty much the last. So if the unit of resistance that is ohm looks like a horseshoe, which is also the sign for omega, it basically says that resistance is the thing that ends, stops. Do you understand? Just a reign of something that needs to stop, a reign of terror, a proliferating cancer. The very ohm or the nth degree of it is the resistor. It's that which is administered into an ecosystem to stop a spreading thing, to stop a cancer, to stop a flu, a virus, to stop us. So resist, start to resist the devil. Start to resist the devil, and you will find yourselves basically reaching the omega of South African devastation. Because right now, you be looking like you're somewhere in beta or delta, and it's not giving. You can't carry on. Because you don't want to walk in an like disposition. If you don't want to go and just relax and chill, it's like, yeah, you don't got it. I mean, I frankly, I don't even know if I'm gonna share it, because if at all these monsters decide to actually walk in that unit of resistance that is I will share this work. Otherwise, I'm not gonna share it, because I'm not gonna let myself get destroyed with you. I'm not gonna let this sinking ship that is the Titanic go down with me. It's up to you whether you want to salvage this country or not. And among the things that you will have as a means to salvage the country is to just let the body of Christ prophesy over your nasty behinds. Since where? Let the body of Christ prophesy over you. You don't gotta. Nobody gotta. You don't gotta do nothing that you don't want to be doing. All this time you've been doing exactly just what you want to do anyway. You don't take instruction from anybody. It's a cat. It's a cat. You don't have to listen. You don't have to listen. You don't have to go up. You don't have to go down. You don't have to take instruction from anything or anybody that is sober. But understand that there are consequences in these streets for not listening to wisdom. My people perish for lack of knowledge. And so, like, whatever, poof. If at all, a parasite finishes its host, and we've got these parasites called witches in the country, corrupt men and women, crazies that feeling that it's listen. I asked Uguti what was happening on the thunderous day, with billows of smoke in the distance, peals of thunder, rumblings, gurglings of blood from patients in the hospital, in the ecosystem. That weird day where all that stuff was going on, when then you then decided to just scratch your ugly brain and be like, I'm going to completely dead break, stop, as in cease movement of the career of my friend. On the day you woke up on that weird day where there were just peals of thunder in the distance. Oh my goodness. You are the omega of South Africa. You're the end of it. Because, I mean, what makes you think being so lackluster in character? What makes you think that, given that the human heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, who can know it? What made you think that you were the only person here on earth that came up with that bright idea? Came up with the bright idea to be the best amidst your crew of friends in a career. And so you're going to bewitch all of them, so you can come up tops above them. What makes you think, given that human beings are always just cogitating trash all the day long, they're always thinking nasty, you're not so innovative and so unique in your thoughts that you're the only person that thought to thwart the career of all of your girls on the day when you made a decision after you and your ex-girlfriend broke up, when you decided to she's not going to get married, she's not going to be okay? What makes you think that you're the only bitter ex that made a decision to thwart, completely obliterate the prospect of love for your ex-girlfriend by anyone? What makes you think you were the only little idiot with that bright idea? Of course you were. Like I said, it's giving schwa sign in the English language. So therefore, if you add a multiplier to all these people thwarting everybody's everything, you're dealing with a depressed country. You're dealing with a thwarted, blocked country. You're dealing with a spiritually afflicted nation. You're dealing with a chained nation that has been held hostage by the sorcery of their friends, family members, ex-boyfriends, colleagues, bosses, former bosses, anyone at all that just feels like I'm going to manipulate a person with spells, they can do it. And since witchcraft is as commonly occurring from what the Lord shows me as the schwa sign in the English language, the schwa sound, it says that all of y'all have been the death of this country as a concert. The ex-girlfriend. And now look at what's going on with me. And I mean, some people, by the grace of God, ensconced. They're covered and they're wise enough to realize some people are wise enough to realize that I don't have a future here, and if I don't make a run for it, I'm not going to be safe in this region. So you're causing South Africans that are wiser than most to see that the only future they have is in the diaspora. The rest of them daft Joe. Just gathering dust in a space in an environment that wants nothing to do with your prosperity. You'll sit here until you turn 90, dog. Until you've got cobwebs around your whole entire body, because South Africans refuse to let you go. So, I mean, on that day, therein lies that parasite, therein lies that mold, therein lies that HIV without the ARVs, therein lies the spreading flu in the chest that's going to graduate to pneumonia and then death. Therein lies something perfectly treatable, becoming fatal. I mean, I'm covered by God all this time. I've been ensconced. All I've been doing is talking, and look at how a lazy little illustrious whore and her pimp boys made a decision. I'm going to one day settle for whatever it is under heaven it is that they're doing. One day ngizothatha everything that is the very death of this country. When there's a whole like murderous, homicidal pathogen in the body that just needs a pill, rather than uthatha amapilisi wakho ufole. Oh, Jonas Gomor. You would rather uthatha ama herbal medications. Ulo sebisa boloi. Zama udila ka botlhoko ba diagnosis ya gago when there is treatment available that has been tried and tested, peer reviewed. Mara wena o special, like you're gonna do a different thing. You're gonna when uzozama into different when you're gonna be the one person that's going to achieve success in a space where nobody else has ever done it before. Because you that hypothesis builder and that hypothesis tester until you become that theorist. When are you the innovator of note? So you're going to take a different route from everybody else. That which has worked for humanity all this time. All the lessons handed down to mankind by those who are wise, who have come before us. When now you're innovative. That's who you are. You're that creator. So even though something has a tried and tested solution, you're still doing your own thing. So of course I'm Shona from full-blown AIDS, Mr. Gomorrah, when I saw Yakovel. I'm your board. Why under heavens Zonke Zinja lazy were off the imagination? They've got the future of the country in their hands. Whoopsie. They think, listen, to operate in such a crazy silo. I say I don't want to be here for 10 years. So Hana go set progress towards 2,300 hours. That's when I need to just skedaddle along on here. I'm not having a whole full-fledged message. I'm just adding a little addendum. So back to the point, parasites. A parasite can do no other thing but kill the host. If at all there is no intervention. An object in motion will stay in motion unless acted on by another force. Similar concept over there. Absent of you embarking on finding that resistance, what's the word that I'm looking for? Quantity of medication that needs to be administered for you to slow down or completely eradicate something that is killing the body. An amputation even, if there's a need for that. Absent of doing that, the structure on which the parasite is gnawing away is gonna die. And right now there are these parasites called witches in this country. Corrupt business leaders, politicians that are eating the nation like maggots on a corpse. You go tell me what happens to a corpse after a minute of being eaten at by carrions, by vultures. Well, when a carrion is being eaten at by vultures, by hyenas, maggots, go back after 2 months and it's going to be clean, white. The bone is all you're going to see over there. Parasites can only finish a host off and then they move on to another place if they can. You tell me what happens to the HIV virus inside the body of a corpse in the ground. Well, what else does it eat at? Where do you think it goes? The maggots that eat away at that body. The animals in the wilderness, wildlife that have access to an HIV positive body. If you're in the ground, largely you're in a coffin. Maggots maybe might be what eat away at you. If at all, you're just left out there on the wilderness, like just a dead body out there. Largely, however, if you're in the ground, there is containment of your virus. But if an animal decides to go and eat flesh that's got HIV positive blood in it, that virus that even though you die still lives. If something eats at that body early enough, after that body has died, that virus, that disease, that pathogen will transfer over into the animal that's eating it, into the other thing that's messing with it. That's why doctors now wear gloves, when especially MEs, medical examiners, when they are just chopping up bodies, doing autopsies. Can nobody afford to get pricked from a dead body, by a dead body, from basically a knife that has cut a dead body? If at all it cuts an ME, they have to stop doing everything that they're doing and try everything in their power to go on preventative care to ascertain that whatever it is that killed that body or whatever could have been the plethora of issues in that body don't come into you as an ME. Full course of antibiotics, anti-parasitic medication, antiviral medication, right next to observation for an extended period of time. Maybe in worst case scenarios, they might even have to amputate that finger if at all the thing is bad enough. That is what in the world under heaven. Something that should die literally immediately as soon as the person that it has consumed has died, but it continues to linger long enough for it to be a threat even to anybody handling that body, anybody handling that specimen. So, Nina, my ritualists, all this stuff that you're proliferating, all of these recruits that you're hiring, no mani shona Nina. I've been rapping on a rooftop and zekisarana an alarm. This guy's all up in my golden funang the sex rituals that you have done on me, my ex-boyfriend, Libangat. And then there was a time when I had the strong desire that you should all just drop like dominoes. But then I remembered, there was a guy from the United States of America that I was just absolutely frustrated by. He was like Stefano de Mero, is it the bold and the beautiful? The thought of him used to give me heart palpitations, made my blood boil. I prayed, got fever, le might, le le strength, or suicidal level by swallowing a bullet. And I felt so good and just felt to perceive. The Lord showed me that as I repente, he's gonna end up killing himself. Yeah, but I mean, like, when is a pathogen ever gonna stop gnawing away at its host? When is a parasite ever gonna stop gnawing away at its host? The guy walk of the US, finally, I get it thanks to this woman walk on YouTube, moved around from pillar to post, and I shook him because nobody watches my content, no one has access to it, it doesn't get recommended, you can't search it, nothing. The chick has banned me to oblivion, to obscurity. So because of the way that I'm so badly banned, I was finally able to shake that guy from the US. I spoke about that at the end of that last video. The last video that I posted that maybe might be my second last one, if at all y'all actually send me that email and tell me askies, but I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen, right? One thing I did not highlight, however, after sharing that story, is that once I shook him, America, he stopped afflicting me. Immediately after moving to my new ministries, uzame one last thing through some sorcerer go Jamaica, but it got expensive. It got expensive because now he also had no side to me, so he had nothing to promise himself me with. He had nothing to look at that would then make for a promise to himself about finally getting me. Basically, he hope how many hundreds of dollars are you going to keep on spending on witchcraft over somebody whose content you can't even find? It just got too expensive. So he left me alone for no other reason but the fact that it stopped making financial sense, because he stopped having hope, because he stopped seeing me. So I became out of sight, and not so much out of mind, but I became out of pocket by mere virtue of being out of sight. It was just too expensive. So he finally left me alone. And once he left me alone, and I stopped getting nightmares, witchcraft attacks, and all that jazz, months, I stopped thinking about this guy in that hostile capacity. I stopped thinking, I stopped I stopped longing for ukushona kwakhe. The way mekangihlumeza ngakhona lenja, wo, mengifuna ukuthi ashone. And I felt like I would get satisfaction in that I was a vampire wanting blood. Mengifuna ukuphuza igazi lalenja. I was bloodthirsty for him. Mengifuna ukuthi ashone, mengifuna ukuthi igazi lakhe liqhethwe, because I felt like that was the only way that I would find peace from him. Empa anako efeta after angihlogela, because I guess it got expensive, right? And futhi mangamboni anymore, and it's like he realized something. It dawned on him after 2 years of that level of stalking. It finally dawned that, what am I doing? Because on the internet, the woman that he had promised himself anymore. So I mean, how many people actually keep on stalking a ghost? If a person passes away that you were stalking hotly and heavily as that hard-knock sociopath that just don't leave people alone, and even when you have a restraining order, if lo muntu lo omstalkayo angashona, look at the stalker be healed from stalking the dead. It's like complete disappearance and inaccessibility of someone finally makes crazy people let go. So if umuntu agashoni, they just need to know how to disappear really well. Then a stalker will finally leave them alone. I mean, that is the only solution for victims of stalkers. It's just bizarre, because they can literally cause you to rip apart your whole entire life just so you can have peace from a freak, Joe. Or move to another province, living on a farm. You will end up living on a farm, only a city girl, just to get away from a sociopath, a stalker. It's ridiculous that some people do that to people. But of course, it's the worst case scenario for you to die, so you're gonna try rather to disappear. That is the lesser evil. So you end up ditching your music career because some stalker just keeps going to every concert. You end up stopping YouTube even though you love to post because some stalker is always watching your videos. Until you're a hermit, but rather a hermit than somebody in the ground. So I became something hermited from this American man, and because he could no longer see me, he left me alone. And as a result of him leaving me alone, I stopped being harassed by the thing that he's doing. I stopped being pursued by the thing that he is. And so I ceased from the berated, incensed, homicidal, bloodthirsty disposition that I had within me. How much I wanted him dead stopped being a thing. If anything, I stopped thinking about him. He's not the only one that I felt this way about. There's some dude that I used to think was my future husband, some guy that I used to work with, go MTN. There was a time when he was so heavy, all up in my girl Gadiklari, that I wanted him dead. Yo, mengifuna utashon. Igazi lakhe liqhethwe, liphuzwe. I wanted that guy dead because onang ravaza man. Yo, I know he was ravazaring me, and the thing that he was using to ravaza me with largely were death rituals. And imagine I'm death rituals. Yo, feeling macabre, dog, like ghoulish. Depressed. I spoke about that briefly. I already touched on that, so I'm not gonna highlight too very much on the same matter. So because of the way I felt like he was making me feel all this listless all the day long, because I good as feeling. Sies. I want him dead. I know months after I went underground. Like, why that's what they make people do. Like, you literally drive people underground. You make people disappear. You make people stop music careers and everything. You make people stop posting on social media when they love their media personalities. You make people live on farms when they're city girls. I spoke about that. But rather, a farm-dwelling, pig, sty, cleaning, farm chick than a dead woman in the ground. If you value your life, Zinja has made out of you something down under. It's like you're Australia or whatever. However, after 6 months, because the first few months, they always just keep testing. And that's what's happening with me. The first few months, they will think, I started this here addendum saying, y'all are not going to summon me like I'm a demon. Yeah. They've been trying to summon me with Ngibuyile. You're heavy sex and you're compromised. Like, guys, there's no incentive. There's nothing that would make me be like, maybe I need to go and sleep with a put my everything in my life is coming together. Ducks are in a row now. There is nothing that would make me compromise. I'm not in as much attrition as I was in. Essentially, the worst is gone. The tunnel that I went through, the valley of the shadow of darkness, is gone. And yet, since that's a stalker for you. Even when your life gets relieved from sorrow, even when you finally are marrying your husband. Have you seen that movie with Nia Long? I forgot what the name of it is, and not Idris Elba, sorry, but Omar Epps. Omar Epps is her stalker. The guy that played David in Being Mary Jane, I forgot what his name is, that's her husband. The woman is married. This guy is some dude from the past. She is married, and so there is a little bit of chemistry all up in there. She almost has an affair with him, but doesn't because she's married. The way that this guy stalks her, as I thoroughly out here messing with and how many times she says I'm married is irrelevant. How what she raises, like how what I'm trying to explain. That movie, such characters as those. Another one is Obsessed and Nangle Beyonce in it. All these movies of these people that are super obsessed with women, or even women very, very obsessed with men. Michael Ealy in The Perfect Guy. How there's nothing. There is nothing you can say to these men or women, if it's women, that'll make them leave you alone. And ukshata kwakho is irrelevant. If at all you are facing, if there's a wedding coming, he will try to block it, stop it. If we are chata still like an andaba. Michael Ealy in The Perfect Guy murdered ex-boyfriend Sana Lathan in the movie. Your husband, your children could be a threat to anything of your new life, and you would think that these things are only in movies until you experience it. I lamented in my content, Lama stalkers, yes, like it, bro. Like, until you have endured stalking, you will thoroughly think, these movies are dramatic, that they're extreme. But I'm telling you now, the behavior of these stalking creeps in these shows is exactly like that. And I have endured so many of them, unfortunately, because of my poverty and because of this illustrious whore at YouTube. This ridiculous woman at YouTube put me before so many diabolical men, and Imanje Lamatotala that she works with are into witchcraft. So because they use sorcery, more so are they unhinged. More so are their characters just gone. Habana next, by empty, by vapid, by vacuous. Gunanje umbobo inside them that is just teeming at the folds with demons. So manje, demon possessed men abatwele mase manje they feel entitled to imfazi. Yeah, Sadi Ona went and did to me. Michael Ealy about like 27, about 30, about 50. Imagine. I mean, most people who endure stalking have one or two. Crunch up one. Really hard, not crazy stalker on earth, and even then, that's only most people who have stalkers. Most women get through life largely without a serious stalker. I mean, you will get that micro stalking from crazy dudes that are to be having a crush on you in high school or whatever, but largely you tend to shake them after enough of your brother comes and talks to him and so he leaves you alone or whatever. The guy that's always texting you, if you block him, he's not going to try and find you on another, you know what I mean? Yeah, but I'm talking like serious stalking, like the kind that you find in The Perfect Guy, the kind that you find in Obsessed, in the movie Obsessed, the kind that you find in the movie A Fatal Affair, Nia Long, that kind of stalking where dude is just irrational. Like, listen, there's nothing. Most women have only one such, if they have. Like, the majority of us don't have that throughout our lives. That kind of serious stalker. Most people elude them. But those are missed the small number of people that do have that kind of serious stalker that can even end your life. Most of them tend to be just one in a lifetime. Just one. And if this guy can die, then you're good. If they can go to jail, you're good. Or if you can hide well and ditch your whole entire music career, then you're good. Manje, when you've got everywhere you go, kabang. Manje, this woman is my stalker. This woman is my Michael Ealy. When you've got in one little tiny lifetime, nakona, in just a few cramped up short space of a number of years. You have amassed for yourself 50 such men, 70, 100. What the heck, dog? What is a woman out here doing to another lady? I am encircled, thanks to my poverty, by men that find me fascinating. Stalkers tend to start finding you fascinating, but they're also demon possessed, so they've got it in them to be that kind of level of stalker. And they are irrational enough to ignore what you gotta say and would break down walls at your wedding, bursting in there, shooting the groom, the bride, and then themselves. That kind of stalker that most women don't ever meet, and those women that do meet them tend to only meet one. I've got a lot because of one woman, and even then in a cramped little short space of a mere number of years, because a woman has unleashed a band of miscreants from a cult on me, being a member of a secret society. And manje balega to a country, from what the Lord has shown me, that's why he chose Asian nations, that does not have as many of these men there, due to one, my skin tone, my race. I, by mere virtue of being a black woman, am not going to be as desired by Asian men. And secondly, given just the general culture of Asian nations, the kind of stalking that I'm enduring here in Africa is highly unlikely going to happen to me there. And thirdly, corrupt men in Africa have connections everywhere we get it. They've got connections in America, South America, etc. But they tend to have the best and thickest and most rigorous connections in very diverse cultures, homogenous nations that are very closed off to the prospect of immigrants, that have got very strict immigration laws. In those nations, you're barely ever gonna find involvement in syndicates by people that just want to make a quick buck. That involves all these other diverse nations across the world. They're so self-preserving of their own country and their homogeny that they would frown upon or even get, what is the word that I'm looking for? It would be like an alarm, like a red flag for some African tycoon or entrepreneur to knock on their door and be like, could you please do me a favor and do ABC to this particular woman? This is her photo. These are her credentials. She's living in Seoul or in Busan. Could you please just make sure that she does not ever work for another Hagwon or another public school or another whatever? The likelihood of succeeding to bribe some Korean man or some Japanese woman or some child, like wherever I find myself in Asia, is so low that I can see now why God is moving me. I can see now why God is moving me to Asia, and not even first, and not even so much like America. Remember how I used to say that I think I'm moving to the US? I don't even want to go to the US anymore, because the risk of this level of corruption is still maintained. It is haughty. The second really horrible stalker that was all up in my grill was American. The first one was the dude, Ole Wako MTN. Listen, this syndicate here that's operating in South Africa, in Africa, there are so many Americans that are part of it, that are an affront to their own country, that are benefiting from this corruption in Africa. I would be remiss if I did not highlight that it is highly improbable that there would be as many corrupt little gangsters in Asia willing to work with this particular syndicate. There's nothing in it for them. Gangsters tend to operate on scale. In order for them to make real decent money from their operations, they need to be able to scale their victims. They need a lot of victims in one sitting. They need to rob a whole bunch of people. And I mean, in Korea, what's in it for some Korean dude? What's in it for some Korean chick to work with some syndicate from Africa that only is picking a bone with 5 little South Africans in Korea, with 5 little Americans in Korea? There's nothing in it for him. They can't scale. There aren't enough people that this syndicate is trying to thwart from that are in that country. Enough for a syndicate in Africa, for instance, to justify trying to find some corrupt little Korean boy that's gonna run their errands, do their missions for them. They listen, and again, just how unscalable it is in the country, how that kind of corruption, how those feats are so unscalable in that country, will also hugely disincentivize even some little, really, very terribly corrupt Korean boy. It just won't be worth it. The amount of risk that they would be putting themselves in, the amount of danger upon being found wanting that they would be exposed to, just the life devastation and the sorrow, the shame of their own society that faces them in so partaking in this. It's not worth it. It's not scalable enough. It's not enough money. So, like I said, I get now why God pretty much blanked, scratched out, buzzard America. I get why it was an alternative arrangement, if you will, for me to rather end up in South Korea as opposed to the US, because they in the US it's scalable, in South America scalable, Africa scalable, Asia, no. It's this level of corruption is not scalable. This kind, not level. There's corruption everywhere. But this particular kind of corruption is not scalable in Asian countries. And also, there are nations in this world that are called high trust societies, which much of the West just isn't. And much of Africa just isn't. We are not living in high trust societies where we can leave our cars unlocked, go into the store and come back in and find all of our possessions still in there and the car also intact. Like, America's not that thing. Much of Europe is not high trust, although some of it is, like Denmark. Much of South America is not high trust. Africa, of course, is not high trust. But much of Asia is. And in high trust societies, people can be who they are, trusting largely that they're going to be okay. I mean, I found out when I was researching a bit on Korea that there, people can go to the store to do something so basic as buy bread at 2 a.m. in the morning. You go outside and it's just almost just as bustling as it would be at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, because there's such little crime. People jog at like ridiculous hours. How many of y'all would jog after 6 p.m.? How many of y'all would jog when the sun has completely set? You tend to jog from around 4 to 6 when the sun is still out, and at around 6, after 6, you better be home. Most people are not trying to jog when the sun is not yet up. People are so scared in low trusting societies to jog that even at 5 a.m. in the morning, though it is ideal for them to go out at that time, because then it's going to give them enough time for them to jog and come back and shower and everything and be ready for work. They would much rather push it out to 6:30 when the sun starts to rise, because at that stage the sun is already out. Basically jogging for less time or having less leg room to do things like shower, eat breakfast, etc. What a fish paste. Yeah, but when you're in Korea, you can thoroughly go and jog at 4 a.m. in the morning. You can jog at 5 a.m. in the morning. And when you live in a society that's not that crazy, where you can leave your cell phone, I spoke about that in my 14-part series. You can leave your cell phone at the restaurant by mistake, come back and find it exactly where it's at, or somebody having put it aside for you to come back and get it. Yeah, when you live in a society like that, the likelihood that they're gonna find some little idiot that's gonna be willing to work with some Putmajasa from Africa, prepared to pay them how many billions of won just to like deal me a bad blow. Nah, listen, this is not K-drama. This is not the Squid Game. This is not the AIDS show. This is not some Korean show where a whole bunch of poverty-stricken people living on the outliers of Korea will do anything to make money until they play the Squid Games. This is a society that generally is quite trusting of another, that also frowns on a whole bunch of foreign corruption. I mean, if you listen to some of the counsel that you hear of people advising other people as to what to basically pack in your bag in terms of character too when you move to a country like Korea, and one of the things that they tend to say ubiquitously across the board as they're being interviewed is a common theme that comes up is don't be a criminal, don't do crime.